Hello, welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. And today, I would like to talk to you of another film which I think is severely underrated. And it's still part of the X-Men film. That today I'm going to talk about, like I mentioned in my last video, is X-Men Apocalypse. Starring Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, Jennifer Lawrence, Evan Peters, Ty Sheridan, and Oscar Isaac, who plays the main antagonist, Apocalypse. Where really it's about this ancient being, this ancient mutant, who's considered to be one of the first mutants ever to exist on the planet, emerges from the ground and wants to formulate his four horsemen of the apocalypse to generate extinction among the human race. And long live the mutants. And first of all, that this film wasn't too bad. I actually really enjoyed it. I remember watching it at the Vine Cinemas in Livermore, and that was actually a pretty good theater. I have some very comfortable seats, and I recommend anybody living in Livermore, California, to check that theater out. Vine Cinemas. Shout out to that. That theater is awesome. And really, from what I've understood, I've watched bits of the X-Men animated series growing up, and I was more of a fan of the X-Men Evolution than I was with the animated X-Men shows back in the 90s. And Apocalypse is billed to be this very machine-like, but also like very powerful mutant who I think he shift shapes a bit. And I don't remember too much about him in the cartoons. I probably need to revisit the cartoon someday since, Disneyplus. But basically, he's considered one of the most powerful mutants ever in the X-Men, which I heard he's also more powerful than Thanos if it ever came about, if those two ever fought. But basically here, he's considered the most powerful mutant, and they're, dishing it out. He's collecting his four horsemen of the apocalypse, and he's going to take on the X-Men. And what I thought was really fascinating about this film, and maybe to a fault with the film, that the film really is slow. It's a slow superhero film, X-Men film. It has the pace similar to the Internals, I think. And from what I've grasped from that film is that the film took its time introducing Apocalypse, introducing the concept of him, what his goals are. And in fact, he's really kind of like the main star of the film, to be honest with you. And the film really takes its time to really explore the X-Men, basically living the school life, and Charles Xavier's taking time to teaching his students certain ways how to control their powers, interacting with the other X-Men like Nightcrawler, um, Cyclops, Jean Grey, which they did a great casting with everybody with it. And really, it was actually a pretty good downtime to really get you feeling like this was actually an X-Men film. It actually felt really like X-Men from like the shows, from the cartoons. It really felt that. And I'm glad that the film really took its time to get you to really, I guess, to really soak it in of Professor Xavier teaching these X-Men how to be better and learning how to control their powers. And it was really like a breath of fresh air. It was actually one of the best moments of the film, where you actually see that. There's actually a deleted scene. I think Julie B. I think that character appears in the film briefly, but I think she had more scenes in that which was deleted. Played by actress Lana Condor. I think that's her name is, and she's pretty hot. Where I think there was a mall sequence in there. The movie set during the 80s, and the movie kind of just takes its time to really get you invested into the X-Men, just the X-Men world. And while that's also happening, which really don't really do much of it, like when Professor Xavier gets introduced to the conflict that is happening with Apocalypse. He doesn't really do much to it until Apocalypse decides to actually get involved with Xavier and goes after him, which really doesn't really happen until until like the second half of the film. The movie really takes its time to really get you invested, maybe to a little bit of a fault, for them to really do anything about it. And that's maybe the issue with the film, that it takes too long to really kind of for them to really do anything. Um, but I also found him to be very bold. I actually like that they took its time. They didn't try to cram just point A to point B to kind of just get you really invested. Oscar Isaac was great as the character Apocalypse, but to be honest with you, I felt they could have had him CGI. I'm all favor for practical effects, but you know what? Lately, CGI has been kind of, when it comes to recapturing suits or superhero suits of the characters, I think they should have used CGI because, yeah, rumor has it that he looked at similar to like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers, and I have to be honest, he kind of looks like Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers film that came out back in the '90s. Yeah, he kind of does. Um, but if they were going for a bigger, like intimidating kind of like Apocalypse, similar to like the animated cartoon, then I think Oscar Isaac may not could have been that. Maybe they could have had somebody else. But not saying that he was bad at the film. I thought he was great. I thought his performance was great. Maybe they could have CGI'd him to look a little bit more intimidating. It's just that he could have been more intimidating. The look could have been more intimidating. And I actually liked it. The prologue, I kind of liked it. What kind of went on with the film? The action scenes in here are great. To be honest with you, I didn't think the sequence with Quicksilver when he took the time to save everybody from the mansion when the X Men mansion exploded. Spoilers for those who haven't seen it. I didn't think it topped the sequence from Days of Future Past, but I thought it was still pretty amazing. Actually, it's probably the best scene in the film when he does do that. When he does take the time to save everybody in the franchise. And I actually like that his character popped up in WandaVision. That's just a little trivia. I'm just throwing it out there. What I really liked was also, and I kind of had expected this, was Wolverine's cameo in the film. Have his own little cinematic universe where Wolverine basically has a cameo when they infiltrate Stryker's base. And I forgot what reason why they were there. I forgot what reason why they were there to rescue somebody. But when Wolverine pops up, it basically does the favor for really for the X-Men. And I was actually a really cool scene. It was a really awesome scene. I wish that sequence was R though, but fortunately the rest of the film is PG-13. But that was a badass scene. That's one of the best moments of Wolverine I've seen. The fight scenes, the action sequences were actually really good here. I really thought it was. I thought some of the action scenes were very was very exhilarating. I thought some of them were a lot better than a lot of the MCU action scenes from just really with from most of the movies. And I thought it was very intense. And I really like Bryan Singer when he directs superhero films. I think he's underrated. I don't think he's getting a lot of attention. Everybody kind of craps on him with the X-Men and then with Superman Returns, which that's also a little underrated. But I like how he uses the character's abilities in a much more realistic portrayal. Like they don't go just hardcore with it, but I really liked how he directed the action sequences, and I thought it was really good. Though there are some cliche moments in the film, there's one particular moment in the film where I really didn't like, where you know that Quicksilver is Magneto's son, and he has an opportunity to say to really give Xavier some hope because I mean not Xavier, Magneto some hope because there's a scene in here where Magneto has a family. Unfortunately, his family dies, and then he joins the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse through grief. And then there's a moment in the film where he meets Quicksilver, and Quicksilver was really that close to tell him like, "Hey, you have a son," and he said, "No, no, I ain't gonna tell him. I'm just sit behind in the back and watch from a distance." I freaking hated that. That is cliche. That is like that is cliche. I hated that. I wonder where they could have gone with that. Maybe saying like, "I'm your son. You do have a son. Like please stop this." Like and having those two have a bond, and it would have to me. I think it would have been better, more of an uplifting hope for Magneto to turn his ways around and go after help fight defeat Apocalypse. Um, how Apocalypse kind of gets defeated, I thought was a little underwhelming. But I thought that moment in the film they could have done better with that. I didn't really like that they chose that little safe route. Um, to be honest, I think really the main lead is Apocalypse, and I don't know. I feel like also Jennifer Lawrence is also kind of really the main star in the film, but her character kind of gets, I wouldn't say sidelined a bit, but her arc is kind of like the most interesting besides all the other characters. I mean, besides Magneto. I mean, she's kind of like this outcast, kind of like anti-hero who's kind of trying to figure out if she has a place in the X-Men until she finally puts in her effort to really take the time to be like, you know what, okay, I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to take the initiative to guide the X-Men um, to success. And I feel like the movie kind of leans more on her, but hey, it's more about the other X-Men characters. Um, but I got to be honest, it felt like Jennifer Lawrence didn't really. It felt like she didn't really care much to really be in this film. I think after Days of Future Past, just I didn't think she gave a shit. She didn't really care about being in the film. I think anymore. I think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny when actors they just don't give a crap and they just half-ass their performances. Like I'm just doing this for money. So I'm sure when she got I'm sure she was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm through with this. And maybe maybe it wasn't a film that was for her that challenged her acting abilities, but I mean she was okay. Um, but also though, like it actually had me thinking because now I'm thinking there's continuities. There's a lot of continuity errors in the X Men franchise, so that's where they're doing it do over. Isn't Max Mystique the mother of Nightcrawler? And if that's so, they don't really address it. They didn't address it in the X Men 2. They definitely ain't gonna address it here. So I'm kind of conflicted I'm kind of conflicted how they try to explain all that. So I guess they not. They're just gonna just throw it in, and be like, hey, it is what it is. No, it is what it is on that. It is what it is on that. You know. Um, yeah, yeah, and really, I thought the build up to some of these characters' abilities and what they do was really cool. In fact, this is actually a pretty good film, to be honest with you. It's a lot better than Dark Phoenix. I don't know what were Simon Kinberg's thought process when he changed certain. I don't know. Maybe he's more accurate with the comic books with Dark Phoenix. Um, maybe I need to check that film out again. It's been over. It's been almost 2 years since I've seen it. Uh, but I can tell you, watching this one ain't really that bad. I really liked it. I thought it was really an entertaining film. I think it gets crapped on. Does it get overloaded with visual effects and the visuals? Yeah, but I think it's visually. I think it's one of the most stunning superhero films I've seen in a while. really probably in the last decade, and I think it gets crapped on a lot. And really, I encourage people to go back to revisit this film. I know everybody's really is trying to forget about these movies, but there is some appreciation to have with X Men Apocalypse, and really, it has one of the best like finales I've seen. Even though it's a little underwhelming how they defeat Apocalypse, just how action driven and just exciting that these sequences are. Like it's a little bit more so, well, more so the Days of Future Past, but I feel like there were much more bolder choices made with the finale of Days of Future Past compared to this. But still, this was a very fun film. I really appreciate it for what Bryan Singer tried to do with this film. Unfortunately, I do believe that Apocalypse could have been a little bit more, I would say, intimidating. But this was a great film. It's just, I think it gets crapped on a lot. Yeah. I mean, just give it a chance if you haven't seen it. I really think you'll like it. Comment below, let me know if you have seen the film, what you thought about it. Like, subscribe, follow my channel, and I'll see you next time on the next video. And what is your favorite underrated movie?